Well, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Another demonstration in support of Czech television and Czech radio took place in Prague on Sunday afternoon. A heated debate ensued over plans to overhaul funding for Czech public media. Proposed shift from license fees to direct state budget financing has triggered warnings about risks to media independence. Now we're joined by Jan Čulík, senior lecturer at University of Glasgow, to discuss the issue further. Good to have you back with us. Welcome.
Hello. Good morning.
So, Jan, we discussed this some time ago. This issue is back. What has changed and why is this so significant today?
It is significant, but it's also problematic. Now, another demonstration, as you rightly said, took place yesterday, but these demonstrations in support of Czech television and Czech public service radio, Czech public service television also, have been happening repeatedly, and not only in Prague, but in various kind of smaller cities as well. However, there are a couple of problems with it. One of them is that, of course, what Babiš and his crazy government is wanting to do to these public service stations is really problematic, because he has these Orban-like policies and he basically wants to control them. But on the other hand, and this hasn't actually really probably got into the kind of consciousness of the demonstrators, there are also some problems with Czech television because, for instance, Czech Republic, maybe, I don't know whether your viewers know this, has been one of the most uncritically country uncritically supporting Israel and what it's been doing in Gaza for the past 2 years. And basically Czech television has only been presenting the Israeli government's view on this. So this is maybe a small problem, but nevertheless, it is still very bad that Babiš is trying to destroy these stations even more. But the other problem that I would like to point out, when Babiš's government, which is now ruling with these two minor crazy parties, was actually elected last October, I mean, they don't care about these demonstrations. The demonstrations are organized by this kind of Million Moments for Democracy, which is a movement very kind of worthy. But unfortunately, this is a government which is saying, we have been elected, we have a majority in parliament, and you know what? We just don't give a damn. And so while a part of the Czech population is demonstrating repeatedly in support of public service funding, the normal system as it existed, Babiš just ignores it and does other things. They have, for instance, over the past few days, absolutely paralyzed the agenda of human rights, paralyzed the work against drugs, psychotherapy, and national minorities. So they're just doing whatever basically they want. And I am very pessimistic about the current Czech Republic. I mean, yes, we could probably put a bit of the blame on the previous right-of-center Fiala government, because while Prague is one of the most affluent cities in Europe, the kind of countryside, especially northern Bohemia, has been kind of neglected. People felt that the social situation isn't very good, and then they voted for Babiš, and now we have this problem. I don't know whether you know, for instance, the United Nations voted for, in the past few days, for this kind of resolution about global warming. Czech Republic, under Babiš, has been the only European country that has voted against it, that has abstained. So, problems.
And also, like, interesting things you point out there. And one thing I'm just want to get your sense of it. We've seen a pretty large demonstrations. I mean, anywhere between several thousands in Prague this weekend. But there's also a petition. I think the number is roughly around 180,000 signatures for the government in terms of actually putting pressure on it. How significant is that petition? How likely is this going to sway anything in terms of the government's decision here?
Well, as I'm saying, it is very worthy that people are actually supporting their public service broadcasting, both television and radio, even though some people, and a minority, is criticizing some of their coverage, which they kind of mostly think that it is kind of middle class and whatever. But nevertheless, it is true. It is good that they are supporting it. But as I'm saying, Babiš seems to be ignoring it. There have been some voices saying that he doesn't like these demonstrations, apparently, and that he's trying to kind of maybe make some statements which would kind of neutralize them, which would persuade people not to demonstrate against him. But I do not see anything that they are actually doing. And really, the government, Babiš, and those minor parties like those motorists, Mr. Matsinka, the foreign secretary, who basically, a party whose policy is to support petrol-based cars is basically crazy. They are really, if I may say so, incompetent and destructive. And with what they're wanting to do with Czech radio, they want to take away funding from the broadcasting in English, so that this kind of worthy, I know maybe millions of people, I don't know, do not listen to Czech radio broadcasting in English, but it has existed for 100 years, basically, and they want to abolish it. They also want to abolish the funding of various regional studios of Czech radio. So basically they are destructive. And as I'm saying, I am really kind of pessimistic whether anybody can prevail, because Babiš says we are a democracy and we won the election and we basically do what we want. This notion, this has kind of sort of existed in Czech politics. There used to be this kind of right of center prime minister in the 90s, Václav Klaus, you may remember the name. And again, in a democracy, normally you would think that, okay, a government is elected for 4 or 5 years, but obviously there should be a kind of debate between the general public and the government when they are ruling during those 5 years, and what the government does should be adjusted by what the people want. But people like Klaus, and I suppose it survives with Babiš now, basically say no. They used to say, no, we were elected and we've got the mandate and you can basically shut up. And I fear, and I really do not have a solution, that this is the situation, and it is really quite kind of worrying. Orban is gone in Hungary. There's a new government, hopefully very positive. In Poland, you only have the extreme right-wing president, but otherwise the government is also more or less now positive. But the Czech Republic and Slovakia, it's not developing very well. I am really pessimistic.
But on that front, I want to just ask a two-pronged question. Maybe it's an easy one, but why has it surfaced again now? Why is the government pushing this? And at the same time, I think it's the finance and interior ministries that they've raised their doubts and concerns about this bill. So does this actually, let's say, doubt its viability at all? So tell us about that a little bit more.
Well, it is true that I keep saying that these minority parties, who are basically the main engine of Babiš's government, are incompetent. And a lot of specialists, and even specialists from the finance ministry, have basically said that this proposed act of parliament that they are sort of proposing for the change of the funding of these public service stations is totally incompetent, that it is unrealizable. So maybe this is maybe some glimmer of hope that it is not possible to realize it because it was so badly written. Lawyers are saying that it is very badly written. It is true that what this government is doing is, I repeat, incompetent. So maybe there is some hope in that, because it may not be possible to put it through for legal reasons, because it just doesn't work.
But Jan, you've mentioned yourself, you see it as incompetence of the government, but at the same time they push this. So what's in your mind then, mind you, in terms of like the actual opinion of it, but what's the actual purpose? Why have they set out to do this? Is it just more control, or why are they pushing this so much now?
Well, they, of course, and their supporters are saying there's nothing wrong with this, so we will finance them for from the state. And it happens, this is a system which exists in various other European countries, and what are you going on about? But of course, these people who are demonstrating, as your pictures are showing, are actually really worried that basically if these public service stations are financed directly by the government, rather than by this existing public service fee that you just basically listen to the radio, watch television, and paid your fee, which the government didn't have anything to do with. So in the first place, that they can actually wantonly reduce the payments, and that they can basically terrorize these public service stations if they broadcast, if they criticize what this crazy government is doing. So the critics, and of course the government dismisses this, the critics are saying you are doing this in order to control those public service stations. And basically what this will lead will be, it'll lead to their abolishment, which would be a problem, because of course then you would have only commercial stations which are only interested in profit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is something that we've also have covered before. We're watching it now again, and we're watching it definitely as it develops. So thanks for all that, laying that out for us. Jan Čulík there, Senior Lecturer, University of Glasgow. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but stay right here for more on TVP World. Goodbye.